Event Report: The Impact of Air Pollution on Brain Health and Dementia Risk. Date of event: January 16, 2025. Overview. The connection between air pollution and cognitive decline, including dementia and other neurodegenerative diseases, has emerged as a critical public health issue. This report synthesizes recent research and findings that elucidate the detrimental effects of dirty air on brain health. Background. Research into air pollution's effects on health has gained momentum over the past decade. Notably, in 2012, Deborah Cory-Slechta from the University of Rochester initiated studies examining how air pollution affects the heart and lungs of mice. Unexpectedly, her findings revealed significant damage to the brain, prompting a shift in focus toward understanding the neurotoxic effects of air pollutants. In 2020, the Lancet Commission highlighted air pollution as a risk factor for dementia, reaffirming this stance in subsequent reports, including a significant emphasis on the topic in 2022 and 2023. These studies have underscored the role of fine particulate matter PM2.5 in exacerbating risks for cognitive impairment, especially as the world grapples with rising pollution levels from various sources. Key findings. 1. Dementia and air pollution correlation. Long-term exposure to PM2.5, particularly from agricultural and wildfire sources, has been linked to a higher incidence of dementia. A 2023 study involving over 27,000 adults indicated that 15% developed dementia during the follow-up period, with higher pollution levels correlating to increased risk. The research suggests that if PM2.5 indeed causes cognitive decline, it could account for approximately 188,000 new dementia cases annually in the U.S. alone. 2. Pollution sources and their impact. Different sources of PM2.5, e.g., traffic, agriculture. Wildfires have varied effects on cognitive health. Studies show that pollutants from agricultural activities and wildfires exhibit stronger associations with dementia. Observational data indicate that regions with improved air quality also report lower rates of cognitive decline and dementia, reflecting the potential reversibility of air pollution's effects on brain health. 3. Biological mechanisms. Air pollution is thought to affect the brain via inflammatory pathways, vascular damage, and structural brain changes. Elevated exposure to pollutants has been linked with reduced hippocampal volume and cortical thinning, both of which are associated with heightened dementia risk. Research indicates that polluted air can lead to increased levels of inflammatory markers and oxidative stress in the brain, which may contribute to neurodegenerative processes. 4. Challenges in establishing causality. Despite the extensive correlation between air pollution and brain health, establishing a definitive causal relationship remains complex. Many studies are observational and do not account for confounding variables such as socioeconomic status, lifestyle factors, and pre-existing health conditions. The specific types of pollutants and their chemical composition are critical, as not all airborne particles exert the same biological effects. Current air quality monitoring often fails to capture the full spectrum of harmful pollutants, particularly ultrafine particles. Future directions. Going forward, research must focus on elucidating the precise mechanisms by which different pollutants affect cognitive function and identifying specific exposure periods that may be most detrimental, particularly during critical developmental windows. This includes the need for experimental studies that can isolate the effects of specific pollutants and their interactions within the body. Conclusion. The evidence linking air pollution to cognitive decline and dementia is compelling and growing. As public awareness increases, it is vital for policymakers and health professionals to prioritize air quality improvements to safeguard public health and cognitive function. Enhanced monitoring of air pollutants combined with public health strategies to reduce exposure could significantly mitigate the burden of dementia in future populations. In summary, the interplay between air quality and brain health is an urgent area of research that demands attention and action to protect vulnerable populations and promote healthier living environments. The content presents counterintuitive information regarding the relationship between air pollution and brain health, specifically in the context of dementia and other cognitive disorders. Here are some key points that highlight these counterintuitive aspects. 1. Air pollution as a lesser-known risk factor. While air pollution is widely recognized for its impact on respiratory and cardiovascular health, its significant role in cognitive decline and dementia has only recently gained attention. This shift in focus illustrates that factors traditionally associated with physical health can have profound implications for brain health, suggesting a more integrated approach to health that encompasses both physical and cognitive aspects. 2. Specific sources of PM 2.5. The findings indicate that not all sources of particulate matter PM 2.5 are equally harmful. Counterintuitively, pollutants from agriculture and wildfires are linked more strongly to dementia than those from urban traffic, which is often assumed to be the primary culprit in air quality discussions. This suggests that public health policies may need to re-evaluate their focus and consider a broader range of pollution sources. 3. Low-level exposure risks. Another surprising element is the revelation that even low levels of air pollution, which are often deemed acceptable or safe, can have detrimental effects on brain health. This runs contrary to the common belief that only high levels of pollution pose significant health risks, indicating a need for stricter air quality standards. 4. Complexity of air pollution. The complexity of air pollution, comprising various chemical compounds and particles, poses a challenge in determining exact causal relationships with health outcomes. The notion that all pollutants are treated equally in assessments contradicts the reality that different pollutants can have distinct effects on health. This complexity complicates the public's understanding of air quality and its implications for health. 5. Observational study limitations. Many studies linking air pollution to brain health are observational, leading to potential confounding factors such as socioeconomic status and lifestyle choices. The counterintuitive aspect here is the difficulty in establishing direct causation, which challenges the straightforward narrative that pollution leads to cognitive decline. This calls for a more nuanced interpretation of the data and emphasizes the need for further experimental research. 6. Impact of early life exposure. Research suggests that exposure to air pollution during critical developmental periods may have lasting effects on cognitive function. This counterintuitive notion challenges the perception that the detrimental effects of pollution are primarily associated with older age, highlighting the need for ongoing public health interventions to protect vulnerable populations, including children. 7. Inflammatory responses. The evidence indicating that air pollution triggers inflammatory responses in the brain is significant. While inflammation is often associated with various diseases, its direct link to cognitive disorders through air pollution introduces a new dimension to understanding how environmental factors can influence brain health. 8. Policy implications. The research underscores the need for public health policies to not only focus on reducing emissions but also on understanding and mitigating the specific types of air pollutants that pose the greatest risks to cognitive health. Counterintuitively, this may require prioritizing regulatory measures focused on pollutants that might be overlooked in traditional air quality assessments. These points reflect the evolving understanding of air pollution's impact on brain health and the need for a comprehensive approach to addressing environmental factors in public health discourse. The report on the relationship between air pollution and brain diseases, particularly dementia, presents several crucial insights that may be easily overlooked. Here are some key points along with their significance. 1. Diverse sources of PM 2.5. The report emphasizes that not all PM 2.5 particulate matter less than 2.5 micrometers originates from the same sources, which can have varying impacts on health. While many discussions on air pollution focus on traffic emissions, the significant contributions from agriculture and wildfires are often underrepresented. This distinction is critical because it suggests that targeted interventions could be more effective if we understand which sources pose the highest risks. For instance, Policies aimed at reducing agricultural emissions or managing wildfire smoke could specifically address the most harmful types of pollution linked to cognitive decline. 2. Underestimation of low-level exposure. The findings indicate that even low-level exposure to air pollution is linked to adverse brain effects. This challenges the common assumption that only high levels of pollution are harmful. The implication is that air quality regulations may need to be more stringent, as current standards might not adequately protect public health, particularly the brain health of vulnerable populations such as children and the elderly. 3. Longitudinal studies and causation. Many existing studies rely on observational data, making it difficult to establish causality between air pollution and dementia. However, the report highlights the importance of longitudinal studies like the Health and Retirement Study, which involved cognitive testing over several years. Such studies can provide stronger evidence of the temporal relationship between pollution exposure and the onset of dementia, underscoring the need for ongoing research in this area to establish concrete causal links. For socioeconomic factors, the report points out that individuals living in areas with higher pollution levels often belong to lower socioeconomic groups, which can introduce confounding variables such as stress, educational attainment, and access to healthcare. This intersectionality is significant as it highlights the need for public health strategies that not only address air quality but also consider the socioeconomic determinants of health. Ignoring these factors may lead to ineffective policy responses that fail to protect the most at-risk populations. 5. Inflammatory mechanisms. A critical biological mechanism proposed is the inflammatory response triggered by air pollution, which affects various brain cells. This insight is significant because it could lead to targeted therapeutic approaches aimed at mitigating inflammation in the brain as a preventive strategy against dementia. Understanding the underlying mechanisms at a cellular level can also guide future research into potential treatments or interventions. 6. Impact on developmental stages. The report mentions that exposure to air pollution during key developmental periods such as in utero or during childhood could have lasting effects on cognitive development. This points to an urgent need for public policy focused on reducing air pollution exposure for pregnant women and children, as early life exposure could predispose individuals to cognitive deficits later in life. 7. Need for experimental studies. It is noted that many studies are observational and therefore cannot definitively establish causation. The report advocates for laboratory studies that can mimic real-world pollution scenarios. This is significant because controlled experiments can help identify specific pollutants and their effects on brain health, providing clearer targets for regulatory measures. 8. Global public health implications. The World Health Organization's assertion that 99% of the global population is exposed to pollution above recommended levels is a stark reminder of the scale of the problem. This highlights the need for international cooperation and comprehensive public health strategies to address air quality as a significant public health issue that transcends local or national borders. 9. Public awareness and education. The report suggests that increasing public awareness of the risks associated with air pollution and dementia is essential. Educating communities about the sources and health impacts of air pollution could empower individuals to advocate for cleaner air initiatives and adopt behaviors that mitigate exposure, such as using air purifiers or avoiding outdoor activities during high pollution days. 10. Policy recommendations. Finally, the report implies a need for policymakers to integrate findings on air pollution and brain health into broader health and environmental policy frameworks. This involves not only setting stricter air quality standards but also investing in research, public health campaigns, and initiatives aimed at urban planning that prioritizes clean air. In conclusion, the significance of these overlooked aspects lies in their potential to shape future research agendas, influence public health policies, and drive community engagement in addressing air quality issues. By acknowledging the complexity of air pollution's effects on brain health and the multifaceted factors involved, stakeholders can work towards more effective solutions that protect cognitive health across populations. 1. Epidemiological evidence linking air pollution and dementia. a significant body of research has established a correlation between air pollution, particularly fine particulate matter PM2.5, and increased risks of dementia and other cognitive disorders. Studies indicate that long-term exposure to PM2.5 significantly raises the likelihood of developing dementia, especially in older adults. Notably, research from the NIH highlighted that PM2.5 emissions from agriculture and wildfires are particularly linked to dementia cases. This evidence emphasizes the critical need for public health initiatives aimed at reducing exposure to these pollutants, as they may contribute to an estimated 188,000 cases of dementia annually in the U.S. alone. 2. Diverse sources of air pollution and their differential impact. The distinction between various sources of PM2.5, such as traffic, industrial activities, agriculture, and wildfires, is crucial for understanding the health impacts of air pollution. Research has shown that not all PM2.5 sources pose the same risks for cognitive decline. Specifically, pollutants from agricultural activities and wildfires have shown stronger associations with dementia. This finding suggests that targeted interventions focusing on specific pollution sources could be effective in mitigating the risk of dementia, thereby guiding future policies and regulations. 3. Biological mechanisms underlying cognitive impairment. Air pollution is believed to affect brain health through several biological pathways, including inflammation, vascular damage, and structural brain changes. Studies have demonstrated that exposure to PM2.5 can lead to inflammatory responses in the brain, which may contribute to neurodegenerative processes associated with dementia. Evidence indicates structural changes in the brain, such as reduced hippocampal volume and cortical thinning, which are consistent with increased dementia risk. Understanding these mechanisms is essential for developing effective strategies to counteract the cognitive impacts of air pollution and for informing future research directions. 4. Research gaps in future directions. Despite the growing evidence linking air pollution to cognitive decline, significant gaps remain in establishing clear causal relationships and understanding the specific mechanisms at play. Much of the existing research relies on observational studies, which may not fully account for confounding factors such as socioeconomic status and lifestyle differences. Future research should focus on experimental designs that can isolate the effects of specific pollutants and elucidate their mechanistic pathways. Additionally, there is a pressing need for studies that explore the potential for reducing specific types of air pollution to lower dementia incidence rates, thereby informing public health policies and interventions. 1. The Great Smog of London 1952. This infamous air pollution event was a significant environmental disaster that resulted from a combination of weather conditions and industrial pollution. The Great Smog lasted from December 5 to December 9, 1952, and caused severe health problems, including respiratory issues, and is believed to have contributed to thousands of premature deaths. The long-term effects of air pollution from this event led to increased awareness of air quality and ultimately prompted the UK government to implement the Clean Air Acts in the 1950s and 1960s, marking a significant shift in public health policy regarding air pollution. 2. The Meuse Valley Fog 1930. This incident occurred in Belgium when a temperature inversion trapped air pollutants, leading to a thick fog that enveloped the Meuse Valley. The smog was so dense that it resulted in respiratory problems for thousands and is estimated to have caused around 60 deaths. This event highlighted the dangers of air pollution and the need for regulatory measures to protect public health, leading to increased scrutiny of industrial emissions and the establishment of air quality standards. 3. The Donora Smog 1948, in Donora, Pennsylvania. A smog event occurred due to emissions from local zinc plants combined with meteorological conditions that trapped pollutants in the valley. The resulting smog caused severe respiratory illnesses and led to 20 deaths and thousands of cases of illness among the local population. This event played a crucial role in raising awareness about the health impacts of air pollution in the United States and was instrumental in the development of air quality regulations, including the establishment of the first Air Pollution Control Act in 1955. Future outlook: air pollution and brain health. The evidence linking air pollution to cognitive decline and neurodegenerative diseases like dementia is becoming increasingly robust. As research progresses, several predictions can be made regarding the future of this critical public health issue. 1. Increased awareness and research funding. As the connection between air pollution and brain health gains prominence, we anticipate increased awareness among the public and policymakers. This awareness will likely lead to a surge in funding for research focused on understanding the mechanisms by which pollutants affect neurological health. Government agencies and nonprofits may allocate more resources to studies examining specific pollutants, their sources, and the neurobiological processes involved in cognitive decline. 2. Refinement of air quality standards. In response to growing evidence of the detrimental effects of air pollution on brain health, we expect regulatory bodies like the World Health Organization (WHO) and the Environmental Protection Agency (EPA) to refine air quality standards. Future guidelines may focus more closely on particulate matter PM 2.5, especially from specific sources such as agriculture and wildfires, which have been shown to have the most significant impact on cognitive health. 3. Development of targeted interventions. As research elucidates the specific types of pollutants and their effects on brain health, targeted interventions can be developed. For example, communities heavily impacted by agricultural or wildfire pollution may implement localized air quality improvement strategies such as planting trees, creating green spaces, and reducing emissions from specific sources. These interventions aim to mitigate exposure in vulnerable populations, particularly the elderly. 4. Public health campaigns. Public health campaigns will likely emerge to educate populations about the risks associated with air pollution and its links to cognitive decline. These campaigns may focus on promoting behavioral changes such as reducing outdoor activities during high pollution days and advocating for policies that limit emissions from vehicles and industrial sources. 5. Technological innovations. Advancements in technology will play a key role in monitoring and addressing air pollution. Innovations in air quality sensors, data analytics, and artificial intelligence could lead to real-time pollution tracking and predictive modeling of pollution's effects on health. This technology can empower individuals to make informed choices about their exposure and engage with policymakers to advocate for cleaner air. 6. Integration of environmental health in medical training. Medical curricula may increasingly incorporate environmental health topics, including the effects of air pollution on cognitive health. Training future healthcare professionals to recognize and address environmental risk factors will be crucial in managing and preventing conditions linked to air quality. 7. Longitudinal studies and data collection. We expect a rise in longitudinal studies that track individuals over time, assessing the impact of air pollution on brain health and cognitive function. Such studies will help clarify causation and the long-term effects of different types of pollutants, contributing to a more nuanced understanding of the relationship between air quality and health. 8. Global policy initiatives. On a global scale, international collaborations may emerge to tackle air pollution as a public health emergency. Countries could work together to share data, develop best practices, and implement policies that target air quality improvement. This collaborative effort could lead to a more significant global push towards cleaner air, ultimately benefiting brain health worldwide. 9. Focus on vulnerable populations. Research is likely to highlight the disproportionate impact of air pollution on vulnerable populations, including the elderly, low-income communities, and individuals with pre-existing health conditions. Future initiatives may focus on these groups, ensuring they receive targeted support and resources to mitigate their exposure to harmful pollutants. 10. Potential for policy change and advocacy. Finally, as the body of evidence linking air pollution to dementia and other cognitive disorders grows, we may see significant policy changes at local, national, and international levels. Advocacy groups will likely push for stricter regulations on emissions, increased funding for clean energy solutions, and initiatives aimed at reducing pollution sources, which could have a profound impact on public health and cognitive function. Conclusion: the future of understanding the relationship between dirty air and brain diseases like dementia is promising yet challenging. With growing evidence and awareness, stakeholders at all levels, from researchers to policymakers to the general public, will play critical roles in addressing this urgent public health crisis. As we forge ahead, the integration of environmental health into broader health strategies will be key to safeguarding cognitive health for future generations.